Hi-ho Silver. Dun, 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 dun. You know, it makes me feel like you're like peeking the corners in Call of Duty, like, yes, yes, loving it. I know, another nerd moment. Alright everybody, we've got another topic we're going to be talking about in the area of travel. This is it. Your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other has came up to you and says, I want to do a cruise. Let's go on a cruise. And you're like, why? I don't really want to be on a cruise. I don't want to be on the next Titanic out there and going, help me, while you're getting pushed off the board, you know? But they're being a little bit adamant, saying, you know, I really want to try a cruise. Everybody else is doing it. Johnny and Billy's doing it. Why can't we do it? We'll just sit there and smoke a cigarette and go, ah. And so here you are, you're roped into it saying, okay, we need to look at it. Or maybe even you are bugging the girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever, boyfriend, a significant other, saying, hey, let's go ahead and do this cruise thing. And they're like, so now you're going to have to start looking it up. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? So here I am. Me personally, I've done 16 cruises in my last 5 years. A little over 5 years now, we've done 16 cruises. We have our number 17 cruise the first week here in June coming up. We're going back to Alaska again. We've been to Alaska once. Epic, epic. But you are a brand new cruiser, and you're thinking, what do I need to do to get into cruising? What should I pick for my very first cruise? And how much should I pay? Because there's just so many different price options, from room style all the way up to balcony suites and all that stuff. And I'm here to give you at least a little bit of idea of what you need, instead of just going around surfing online being like, I don't know, everybody's telling me one thing or another. So I'm going to tell you through my experiences what happened to me. Alright guys, so what happens is you guys start looking, and I'm going to help you out the best I possibly can. First thing you need to do is you need to decide on how long you want to go. Being a brand newbie, I know I was in your same position. I was a little bit worried about being on that boat. I highly suggest, number one, a 3 to 4 day cruise. Do not go longer than that in case you do not like it. You do not like being trapped in the boat the whole time. Maybe you're one of those people that just don't like it. So, there you go. That's number one. Number two, let's do room selection here. Room selection. For a brand new cruiser, don't go any higher than an ocean view. You just don't need it. And here's why. You're going to be on one of these little 3 or 4 day jobbies or whatnot, and they usually use the smaller boats for those little 3 and 4 day cruises. So they have very few balconies. Those balconies then, because they're fewer to find, the typical rule of demand and whatever and supply, those balconies are very expensive. And you really don't need it. The first cruise, you're going to be wanting to go out there and travel and see everything. So I highly suggest that you do not get anything higher than inside room or ocean view. That is perfect. It'll save you tons of money, and you can get into those little 4 day cruises for $200 or less all day long. And that is right in the sweet spot where you want to be for your first cruise. So with tax, you're like $230, $240, maybe give or take some few dollars. You know what I mean? And that is the best way for you to get your foot in that door. Next area we want to talk about, number 3, I would highly suggest locations. For your first location, if you're on the East Coast, I highly suggest that you do a Bahamas cruise. One that goes to Nassau, Bahamas, and one goes to whatever cruise ship you're with, private beach island. Do not worry about going to Freeport. If one says Freeport and the other one, you don't want to go. Freeport is trash. There's nothing there. It's all industrial. Stay away from Freeport. Next thing I would suggest is you need to find a good cruise line for a good beginner that's not going to break the bank. My suggestion would be Royal Caribbean or Carnival. There. So afterwards, you're picking Royal Caribbean or Carnival. The reason why is they're good beginner cruises that do not cost a lot, and they still give you a very good bang for your buck. Now, back in the past, Carnival had a bad reputation for being nothing but a booze cruise. and where everybody's just going to get drunk, wasted, everything, and you don't want your kids around there. Well, they have totally changed their idea and did a 180 on it and worrying more about family now. They have family games, entertainment, all that stuff. So they're really trying to get away from all that heavy drinking. And you do still see people drinking at the bar, as you should, but you're not going to see it like it's just kids, bunch of teenagers getting wasted, so you don't see that anymore, okay, guys? Things have changed. Other things that I would recommend when it comes to cruising is you don't have to do the excursions if you do not want to. Excursions are very overpriced, very expensive. You can pick up excursions as soon as you get off the boat. Now, they're not guaranteed by the cruise like they are if you're on the boat. Look at these old cars, by the way. They have the Good Guys Car Show is in town this weekend. But you could definitely check out excursions off the boat. Or even if you're in Nassau, you really don't need it. You can walk around anywhere in Nassau. You really need to. I mean, within 20 minutes, you could be to some of those places like the Castle on the Hill, or you might want to take a boat to Atlantis. Do not buy any tour going to Atlantis in Bahamas. I'll give you a clue. To go to their water park they have there in Atlantis for, I think it was 5 hours, they wanted $160. Has your jaw hit the ground yet? $160 for 5 hours at a water park. I can go to Wet n Wild here in Orlando for about $45 for the entire day. Alright, guys, the next thing I would say, like I said, you can walk around in there, you can check it out. They have onboard shows. Of course, you have the all you can eat most of the day. In the middle of the night, they do not have it. They might have a little bit of a brunch thing going on, which is like cookies or like chocolates, stuff like that. But nowadays, they don't do the 24-hour buffets anymore. They got rid of it, obviously, to save money. Typical stuff, right? So what I would recommend for you is just, you're really not going to be up that time of night. But most of the time, you can go get food. They'll usually have like an hour break in between buffet shifts where they switch over all their food. While we're on the dining topic, we're going to talk about being in the dining room. The dining room obviously doesn't cost any more money. They do have specialty dining areas like steakhouses, Italian places, stuff like that cost between $20 and $40 per person if you want to go in. But we're talking they're very, very high-end quality. So if we're getting to go to one of those high-end steakhouses for $40 a person, where if you were in Orlando here at one of the high-end steakhouses, you wouldn't get out without $80 a plate. Is a really good deal when you think about it. So if you have a little bit extra money and you love steaks, you like any of those fancy things where you can have just some one-on-one intimacy, then I would highly suggest you could try one of those. But if we're still talking money as an option, the dining room's food is usually pretty good. Anywhere from a good just B rating across the board to we've had some cruises that are excellent across the board. Highly recommended food. So do not let that think, oh man, do I have to pay for this good food? No, you're still gonna get to go in the regular dining room with you're gonna be sat with random people, random strangers that you never met, unless you're at a giant party, and then you'd have your own giant table together. But most of the time you get to meet all kinds of new people that you're gonna see on islands later, which is really cool. You get to meet some new people. Hey, where are you from? Oh, okay, cool. And we've met people from all over the world, which is awesome. Let's talk gratuities, guys. Gratuities is a big thing that everybody has questions about. Gratuities will automatically be added to your room card so the end of the day, last day of the cruise, they're going to charge it. So it's usually between $12 and $13, something like give or take, per day per person in that room, okay? So you and your girlfriend, you and your husband, whatever, we're just going to have 12 something added to your room every day. So that covers your room steward. That's going to cover your dining room people, your maitre d', all that stuff. Your hosts, all that. It's just going to automatically be divided up between them. So that way you don't have to worry about having cash or anything like that on you. It really saves a ton. Because when you're on a cruise ship, you don't use cash. Nobody takes cash while you're on the cruise ship itself. Alright? You use your room card for everything you buy on board. Your room card is linked to your credit card or a cash account that you set up beforehand. Okay? So that way, at the end of the week, it just automatically hits you with it. What? Ridiculous drivers. Alright guys, one of the last things we want to talk about, being that you're going to be on your very first cruise, I would say when you get to the beach, they're going to have their private beach there, especially if you go to the Bahamas. that not everything is free. You'll see all these people doing jet skis and doing this, that, and the other, parasailing. None of that is free. Okay, that all is going to cost money, and it is very, very expensive compared to what, like I said, you would say if you came down here to Florida and you say, well, I want to go jet skiing down here. Okay, you can always guarantee, remember the cruise ship, that's another way they make money, is on liquor and on these excursions. So you can expect double to, if not triple, sometimes prices that you would pay at your local beach, at a local bar, or something like that. So go in understanding that that's how they make their money. They do not make it. But if you're not a drinker and you're not a partier, it really, you know, want to go on these cruises and stuff, and you don't mind just being at the beach, just being on a chair and going on the water yourself, and sometimes they have some free slides out there and stuff, then you're good. That's where it works for us, because we're not big drinkers. We don't really care. We might drink one drink per cruise. So basically, the first time we got off our cruise, we had onboard credit. That's another topic we need to talk about, onboard credit. Many travel agencies will give you onboard credit, whether it's even online websites you use, or you get it straight from, you know, the cruise line itself. They'll probably give you onboard credit. What that does is that credits your accounts. Anything you buy or whatever, holy shit. Well, just come on over, dumbass. Figure it out. What is that shit? Alright guys, once again with the onboard credit, in case I didn't mention it before, what'll happen is they automatically credit your account, so you start out in the positive before you even start going negative. So those daily gratuities that come out and stuff, it automatically starts chipping away at that $50 or $100 onboard credit before it's even going to start negating your account any, which is perfect. You can buy drinks with it. You can use it for free drinks, free excursions, whatever you want. It's just your extra money in the bank that basically, like, you put $100 out of your pocket and said, put this on my account, and then it starts eating away from there before it'll end up starting to charge your card any. So it's perfect. Onboard gratuities are great. I can tell you in my past, the first time I went to Alaska 2 years ago, we had a $450 onboard credit. $450, y'all. That's unbelievable when you think about it. That covered most of all of our excursions that we did while we were there. We do excursions now, but when we first started cruising, we didn't, to save ourselves some money. We were both young. We didn't have lots of extra cash. My wife was doing her residency at the hospital, and she was just getting a meager salary back then. So we just cut down and save ourselves some money. And that's why I suggest, if you're trying to save some money, don't do any excursions. And if you're going to do the West Coast cruises, I would suggest the one that goes out of Los Angeles that will go to Ensenada, Mexico, and Catalina Island. That's another popular one that you can go on a Carnival cruise for $200 on for an ocean view. No big deal at all. That'd be a good way for you to get your feet wet and check it out. I'll have for a final a tip here for the y'all that are worried about getting seasick on the ship. Okay, out of our 16 cruises, we have only been on one cruise that had very bad seas and had about 20-foot seas, and we were like this the whole time for about one night only. It was just like that. Seriously, nothing bad, but it was like that. People were, I'd say, over half the dining room didn't come to dinner that night because my wife got sick because it was pretty bad. What happened is a hurricane had brewed up there in the Gulf, and we were just outside of Cozumel, Mexico, and it made its way into southern Mexico. So what we were in the very top of all the water and the seas, and that's what was happening to us. We were catching all that. But most of the time, those ships are so big that you might feel very little just wobbling. You might be like just a little bit of this. Nothing bad, and your body automatically gets used to it, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about having to go to the doctor and ask for those seasick patches. You don't need them. Buy the Dramamine pills, so that way if you do feel like you're going to need it when you're out there, you can go ahead and pop it. If you see a big storm on the horizon or whatever, even with storms, it's not that bad. You'll get a little bit of a shuddering maybe if it hits a wave, and where it goes, I don't know why it does that. It just, everything rattles. Well, alright guys, I figured I'd go ahead and wrap this up. I know it's a little bit hodgepodge of a thing, but it might be able to help you out in some tips and tricks if you decide to take your first cruise, or somebody else is trying to get you to take your first cruise and you're like, I don't know. Because I was kind of worried about being on a cruise too. You know, I didn't know if I wanted to be trapped on that boat all day long. I didn't know if it was going to be like Titanic, even though, granted, I know I can swim really good. But, and you know, ships don't really go down nowadays today. Concordia. Anyways, guys, I figured I'd go ahead and help you guys out. Feel free to ask any questions you can. I'm sure I haven't covered just absolute tons of topics that I'm missing out on. I mean, it's got to be just vast how much topic I didn't discuss. But at least it's going to give you a general idea of what you should know before getting in on your first cruise. Remember, just do a 3 or 4 day cruise. Do it inside cabin or ocean view only. Do only a what would I say? Well, I would highly suggest the Bahamas cruise or a Southern California, Ensenada, Mexico cruise if you're on the West Coast. Don't spend a lot on your first cruise. Remember, excursions are very expensive, very overpriced. Liquor is very overpriced. Guys, this is where they make their money. Alright, they make it on all those excursions, all that liquor. So go in understanding that, and you'll be pretty good. If you don't have to do all the excursions, if you don't need all to get wasted all the time, you can usually make it out of a cruise for just basically a little more than what you paid. And then if you get some onboard credit, some good onboard credit, you might not even need any more than that. Because with your onboard gratuities that are going to hit you, you know, it'll take away that onboard credit for you. And that way you technically don't have to pay anything else extra out of pocket. These are tips and tricks for you to save your money. And I hope that really helps you out. Anyways, I hope this really helped you out. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me. I figured it should be something that I should talk about, that I know a lot about and I've done a lot of. If you guys have any questions about longer cruises, and you have any questions about, hey, I haven't been this area of the Caribbean or that area of the Caribbean or Alaska, whatever, what do you think about these? I'm glad to help out the more people, the seasoned cruisers who've been out once or twice before and that have some questions about those areas, because I've been absolutely everywhere in the Caribbean now. I've done it all. We literally did every island we could possibly find that a cruise ship went to. So I can tell you about some good places to go to and some places that you should probably skip the cruise on, okay? Anyways, guys, I hope you really like this topic. Feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to me, ask any questions you want, and I will help you out. I try my best to answer every single question that I always get. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys at the very next video. Take care.